I wanted to read you a quote from Megan Rapinoe and just get your thoughts at the end of it. The quote is, "You can't win a championship without gays on your team." And I guess the question for me is, I guess go with me. I guess the question here really is, there's a lot of openly lesbian footballers in the women's game, but there's basically no gay men's footballers. And I want to know, is it easier to be a lesbian in women's football than to be gay in men's football? Or why is it easier for them to come out?
It's a tough question. I think, yes, it is easier. I think it's just generally more, it's just more accepted. I think because, there's always been that stereotype that if you play football, even if you play sport, a lot of the time, rugby, cricket, hockey, all those sports have got that stereotype of if you're a girl and you play it, you must be gay. And of course, that's not the case at all. But it almost, I think sport can become a safe place for girls, young girls who are maybe questioning their sexuality, or they're realizing that they are gay. Often they'll find somebody in the same situation or somebody that's been through the same thing within a sporting environment. And I think just over time, it's just become normal and accepted. And, it's not a problem to be that. And girls are able to be themselves much more when they're with their teammates than when they're somewhere else. And I think that's just how it's happened. And obviously it's wonderful that it is like that, because, I'm sure you've heard Jess Fishlock's stories of school being a really tough time for her, but she was able to go to football and be herself and not be judged or questioned about it. And I think that's just how football has been, ever since I've been young anyway. And, if even when I was younger and I wasn't kind of aware of what being gay was, when I did kind of find out that people were, I was kind of like, okay, cool. Like, there was no problem. It was just, there was no big deal around it. And I think that helped. Whereas for men, I think it's always been a bit more stigmatized, especially in football. It's it's a man's game. It's a man's sport. You have to be big and tough and strong, and there's no way you can be homosexual. That would be the most terrible thing in the world. And I think that's just carried on. And I think what Megan Rapinoe's quote is probably saying is that statistically there will be at least one person who is gay in a championship winning team, which I'm kind of guessing is what her quote means, that statistically someone in a championship team will be gay, whether you know it or not. And she's probably right. But it's just, there's so much pressure on that first person to come out as a current gay footballer. It's going to be a massive moment, but someone's going to have to take a lot on their shoulders when they decide to do that. And at the moment, it's clear that nobody's ready to do that at the minute. Whether they're not ready themselves or the world is not ready to hear it is perhaps a bit of both. I'd love for them to be able to come out and for everything to be great. But as we know, the world is not a nice place at times. So it's going to be a big moment, and hopefully it's not too far away, because that'll be a sign that society's maybe changing and becoming more accepting of people and people being themselves.